The Essential Education projector range from Hitachi sponsors ICT programs.
Hello and welcome to a Resource Review ICT special. Today our panel is evaluating resources for secondary PSHE. The resources that we're investing our time in are an interactive game on tax and spending, a website that promotes physical and mental health, and a personal finance website. Recommending our resources today is Kay Lord, an independent educational consultant who specialises in PSHE. On the panel we have teacher Diana Boyd from Central Lancaster High School and Alan Mills from the Specialist Schools and Academies Trust. And our ICT investigator Matthew Tosh will be putting the resources through their paces in the test lab. So Kay, let's begin with your first choice of resource. It's the interactive game, the Red Box. Tell us about it.
Well, I chose this because it's an interactive resource that spans the whole of Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4.
Okay.
But it's also supported by a video and some hard copy teachers' notes. The purpose of the resource is to teach the young people about taxation, and the game itself is a way of demonstrating to the pupils that money has to be raised so that it can then be spent on priorities. So they have to make some choices of how they spend, but first of all they have to make the money, which is how they do it through this game.
Okay, now let's go over to Matthew to see how he got on with it.
I bet you can't wait to see this one, budgeting, VAT and excise duty. It's all here on the Redbox website. The idea of the game is you visit different buildings within a square, answering a question for each building. When you answer a question correctly, it generates money for you, and money is good because you can reinvest it in your square. So here's my square here. To start moving to a new building, I click on the fountain in the middle and the whole square spins around. It will eventually settle on the building. There we have it. And my first question is here. Now the information for the question can be found in the top box here on the right hand side. You sort of scroll through it. Now I didn't find that particularly interesting because it's quite verbose. It was a little bit like reading a tax form. Now occasionally you'll see a moving object like this plane here. If I click on that, it gives me a bonus question. Same style of question, so the idea is if you see something moving, click on it because it's going to get you extra money. Now after some rounds in the game you'll get a bonus game come up. It's interspersed between some of the questions. Again, this can allow you to generate more money. There's things like balancing income tax and expenditure, building children's playgrounds. There's a lot of variety for the game. At any point you can click on the glossary to get further information. There's loads of information here for children. At the end of the round you have a choice of investing your money in your square or saving it for the next round to build up your budget. The site runs on Flash and Shockwave, so you need to ensure that you have these installed on your computer, both of which are pretty much standard in schools. If you don't have this though, or you have a slow internet connection, there is an HTML version of the website, although I have noticed this runs a little bit slower. The teachers section is pretty good. Here you've got links to other curriculum resources, and you can order some resources from the website, including a video, leaflets and handouts, which arrive in a rather attractive box. I'm off to number 11 now.
Okay, I got a very good feel of the square from Matthew. Who do you think this resource is best aimed at? What age group?
I think it's aimed possibly better at Key Stage 4 because it is information heavy. There's a lot of reading, and my concern would be for children who have some literacy problems, because understanding the information is implicit on making the choice. So my view is it would be better with the Key Stage 4 pupils.
Right, okay. Well, let's turn now to Diana. You've actually used the resource with your pupils. How did it go down?
Yeah, well, I used it with a Key Stage 3 class, a Year 9 class, and initially I think there is a temptation to use this game as an introduction to the topic, But to be perfectly honest, I don't think it's possible to do that. I think it's really important to mention that the pupils' learning has to first of all be put into context. They have to have an understanding of the ways in which government raise taxes to begin with. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have an interactive whiteboard in my classroom. So working with a mixed ability class, particularly visual learners, it's very useful from that perspective.
Okay, well, let's bring Alan in. What do you think of this resource?
I hope there's a moral dimension to this, because some of the questions, in my mind, need a great deal of interpretation and discussion by the teacher. There were discussions about army, terrorism, a whole lot of things there which were not purely about tax. They were issues about how we spend our money. Also, the look of it, I actually think the look of the website is fairly pedestrian. I mean, to me, it looks like something from a game from 10 years ago.
Okay, we've only just got time for a quick comment from you.
I would tend to agree with Alan. There are some issues with it.
It's free though, which
is free,
a very positive
and
point.
each of the activities are standalone, so you could do a pick and mix. But again, we're back to the resource is only as good as the person using it.
Well, on that point, let's move on to Kay's second choice of resource. Kay, this is a free website called Mind, Body and Soul. Can we have a look at it and tell us about it?
This is a website, part of the Wired for Health series, which supports the Healthy Schools programme. It's not a new site, it's been running since about 2004. This particular aspect of it is Key Stage 4 specific, and as you can see, it deals with a whole host of topic areas which are pertinent to the Healthy Schools Award. It's got a teachers page, which again is really, really useful. It's also useful for students who are researching, gathering information, checking their knowledge and understanding for group work, class discussion, project work, or just merely for their own personal interest.
Okay, well, let's go back over to Matthew then for a tour of Mind, Body and Soul.
If you want to give young people the chance to get the lowdown on a variety of health topics, then this website really is the one to go for. You can see on the main startup page here, there's a list of various topics available, and I'm going to click on smoking. Now, each section is split up into further categories, so young people can go directly to what they want to find out. So we'll have a look at the health effects. This page, there's a lot of text on it, although it's all relevant to young people. And as we scroll down, you can see it's split up with icons to ease navigation and ease reading. If I click on this one here, a pop-up window opens, so you'll need to allow pop-ups from the website. And if you click there, a little snippet of information creeps in. Now, this page is quite text-based, but some of the other sections have a lot of variety in them, so it makes it a bit more interesting to navigate around. You can see it here on this cigarette picture. If I click on the cigarette ash, a bit of information about the chemicals in the cigarette comes up. Back on the main page, there's an extensive search facility. There's a search button here. You can search right the way across the website on a variety of health topics. And there's a really good links section, giving links to various support agencies. And it's not just website links here. There are addresses and telephone numbers as well. I think that's really good. There's a good teachers section as well. And this has got support information, links to the curriculum, ideas for lesson plans, that sort of thing. The final bit I want to show you, though, is the health conditions page. This lists a few health conditions, and if you click on them, there's a little bit of information and a link to an external agency. So there's loads of information here for young people. In fact, there's so much you'll probably want to visit it more than once.
Okay, this is a vast resource. There seems to be a lot of information on the site. Is there too much information on it?
I don't think there's too much information, but like most websites, there is a lot of information on there. And it does rely on some preparatory work by teacher to set the scene for the topic so that the young people are confident to go in and find the information or work on the quizzes to test out their knowledge and understanding.
Okay, well, Diana, coming to you, did you find you had to do a lot of preparatory work with your students?
No, absolutely not. I think this is an excellent resource. I used it with a group of Year 11 boys, and teaching emotional health and well-being to Year 11 boys isn't the easiest thing to do. No. So I thought that the website itself was an excellent way in, and 5 of the boys actually commented on how good they thought the website was. The second thing that I noted about it was the opportunity to explore cross-curricular links. I thought they were very clear, so the links between PSHE and citizenship were very clear, decipher from the website, and that was able to inform my planning and my sort of long-term planning as well.
Alan, you've been nodding a little bit over there. What do you think?
I do think it's a good resource. I think it's interesting that the actual clients themselves found it interesting. That's the most important thing. It's always very easy to look at a website and say, doesn't work for me, but if the people who are using it that it's intended for have actually made positive comments, that's fantastic. But the thing that goes on from that is there's always a problem with issues of some sort of contention, like the subjects of this particular website, if you can't get to them because there's some form of filtering in your school or in your authority. And I have to say again, I think it's a real problem. If we're not in the business of teaching our students how to use the internet properly, there'll be no filtering at home. So if we're not teaching them how to use it, how to make sure they're using it effectively and sensibly, that is our job as educators.
We've got to allow them to
get
access
full
it,
access to it.
and not just at home. We can't rely on them just doing it at home. It has to be in an environment where the teacher is controlling, facilitating and supporting. Yes.
All right, well, time now to move on to Kay's third choice of resource, My Money Matters. Now, this is a free website again, associated from a bank though. It's about personal finance. Tell us more about it.
The reason I chose this one is it's very much about the personal aspects. This is really about how I budget, my responsibility for my budget.
So how does this resource work?
It's a series again of information. The things I like about it is it's got a parents area, which is useful if the students are using the website at home. It's got a teacher's page, it's got lessons, lesson plans, which help with teachers' planning.
Diana, there are case studies on the website, and I thought that was something that might appeal well to students. Is that what happened with yours?
No, unfortunately
Oh,
not.
because I thought they were really lovely, those case studies.
The class that I used this resource with really struggled with it, and to be perfectly honest, so did I. I thought it was very dull, very boring, and I agree wholeheartedly that pupils must be taught about personal finance, but I don't believe that this is the resource to use to do that. Very bland colour scheme and not easy to navigate around at all. The most interesting thing in terms of the case studies were the 3 photographs.
Kay, what would you say to that?
I think that it's a best shot possibly at this moment in time. It is a relatively new resource, 2005. It is dealing with the personal dimension of finance. So there may be other things that come along that are better. I think what it needs to be is far more linked to things that the teacher can do rather than the reliance upon the website. I think there needs to be some more interaction so teacher and pupils and the resource feel more at one.
Alan, what would you say about this resource?
I totally agree.
That's good.
I think it was a real wasted opportunity. It's very inconsistent as well. I mean, there's little bits in it that ask you to drop and drag, and then the next thing you're typing things in. I couldn't work out the logic of the way they'd intended to do it, and I did feel it was very bare in terms of opportunities. It's set out like a file, a folder. You know, everything's there. It's in the right colours for the company. Everything's there, but it doesn't appear to have used the web at all.
Well, room for improvement on that last one. But just to recap, the 3 resources that we've looked at today are the Redbox website from EdComs, Mind, Body and Soul from the DFES and Department of Health, and My Money Matters from Alliance and Leicester plc. For more information about resources featured on today's programme, go to our website. It's teachers.tv/resource review. Or if you want to, email us, resourcereview@teachers.tv. A big thank you to our panel, to Kay, to Diana and to Alan. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on Resource Review. Bye-bye.
Essential education projectors from Hitachi sponsor ICT programs.